Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number one, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number two, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number three, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number four, consider all the costs. Number five, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502 680 0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
You have scoured the podcast world. You have finally found the place where news is weighed in the balance. Welcome to Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Well, hello, Mr. Burnett. How are you today, Mr. Jerry?
Hello, Steve. Doing well, and yourself?
I'm good. I've just made as much noise as I possibly could during their opening. How's that?
You know what? You made way less noise than the dogs barking or the neighbors' motorcycles, so it's
That's
all
true.
good.
I guess.
It's all good.
Man, it's Wednesday. I'm glad we are here. Everybody's healthy.
I agree.
Now, Jerry,
Yes.
I just want to throw it out there. I know you are a huge fan of the Middle East.
Middle East. Okay.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad you
the
know
Far
that. I don't.
East. The Far East.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I specifically remember all the stories you used to tell me, not about the people, not about the warcraft, like the martial arts, not about the oceans.
What about that?
Your favorite part of the Far East is the gong.
The gong.
And today is National Gong Day.
Oh, there you go.
So this day was dedicated for you, Jerry.
Do you know what else this day is?
What?
National, if I can get it out, Peaches and Cream Day.
It is. And I love peaches.
So do I. Who doesn't, right?
And in fact, a trip to Georgia is not far away to get some fresh peaches. They're about to.
Maybe some of our listeners will send us some.
Well,
we've got a bunch down there in Georgia.
Man, Georgia's giving us lots of love, and I'm so happy for them. Yes, indeed.
For a week or two, they beat our home state.
Yeah.
Had more downloads from Georgia than we did from Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's saying a lot.
So, Jerry,
yes,
week after week, month after month, I have given you endless examples of good dad jokes.
Okay. If you say so.
I have. And I bet in your mind, you're wondering, where does he keep all of those dad jokes?
I know where you keep them because usually you don't even think about it until I start mine and you grab your phone and look one up. And here lately you have your book.
Yeah, I do. I do indeed.
So is that neither one of those where you're going to tell me you got today's at?
What? No, exactly. I just.
Where'd you go to get this one?
I have them all safely secure in a database.
Oh, man. So weak.
What? That was amazing. Amazing.
I'm telling you, if you want good dad jokes, there's a subreddit, dad jokes. And the best dad jokes aren't there. The best dad jokes are in the comments. That's where the really good ones are.
Let's see.
I don't even know where I got this one. I think it was from Reddit, but I'm not sure. Why don't skeletons fight each other?
Why?
Because they don't have the guts for it.
One of my favorite shirts and you can usually buy it at like Walmart or Myers or somewhere around Halloween. It's two skeletons, and
Okay.
one of them is holding the other one's spine and says, "I got your back."
Yeah, I
I love that.
saw those.
No bones about it. That makes me happy.
All righty then.
I mean,
No
it's no
bones
skin
about
off
it.
my back to buy you a good shirt sometime.
There you go.
I'm sorry, I can't stop. Please stop me.
Speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and do real quick one of my subjects,
Oh,
one of my topics.
dig it
A
right
woman
in.
yeah,
I
but
love it.
it ties in with your bones and blah, blah, blah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
This is a G-rated show, sir.
A woman found an ancient mastodon tooth on a beach in California. During Memorial Day weekend, she was strolling on a California beach. She saw something sticking out of the sand. She took a picture of it. Didn't know what it was. It was like a foot long. She took a picture of it, and she was at the Aptos Creek and the Rio Del Mar State Beach, located in or right off Monterey Bay in Santa Cruz. And she went on Facebook and posted the picture, and was asking people for help trying to figure out what the crap it was. And she finally got her answer when Wayne Thompson, a paleontologist, collections advisor for the Santa Cruz Museum of Natural History, got in touch with her and said, "Lady, this is an ancient mastodon tooth. It's been preserved for many, many years. They think somewhere between 5 to 10,000 years ago." And he's like, "This is a huge find."
Oh,
And
wow.
she's like, "Well, I took a picture and left it." They went back, or she went back and dug and couldn't find it. So she then went back to Facebook, posted everything that had happened. Here's the picture of what I found. Here's what this expert is saying it was. Could people begin to try to help me find this? And it was a week or so later, and Jim Smith of nearby Aptos City, and he found it. He donated the tooth to the museum, and it's now being displayed. Here's a picture of the tooth.
Holy
There.
buckets.
That's the picture that she originally put on Facebook.
Wow. You have to put that online
I
on
will.
a link underneath. That's neat. That is
I will.
neat.
That was pretty cool. All of it. Her finding it, what are the odds that the expert would, someone, this wasn't a friend of hers, the paleontologist, but when she put it on Facebook, all her friends got it, and their friends got it, and their friends got it, and someone tagged this paleontologist, and he knew what it was, and he contacted her, and it was gone. And she went back to Facebook, and a bunch of people started helping her look, and thankfully the guy that finally found it was willing to turn it in and give it to the museum.
It's
Pretty
funny how that works on Facebook. Literally, I did a video a few weeks ago to promote my real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
And that video was shared like 25, 27 times, but it has almost 1,000 views at this
I'll be
point.
darned.
It's
figure.
crazy. And those are not all my people. So
Sure.
I just, Facebook can be a huge boon to society.
Absolutely.
It really can.
All social media can
If
be.
used correctly.
Exactly.
Can be.
Be.
That's what it comes
Not saying
down
it
to.
always will be, but certainly can be.
Right? Crazy.
Absolutely. So did you have a good week?
I did.
How's the new
Indeed.
job you were telling us about last week going?
It's going well. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff and doing new stuff and becoming kind of a computer geek like you. And
Very good.
so, it's very good. I'm very, I'm very in my element there. My primary job at this point is recruiting, hiring, and onboarding drivers. We had to do that all the time in real estate or retail. So the process is what I had to learn. Now that we got that, we're actually making the process slimmer and faster for the company. So it works out good.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Glad to hear you like it.
Yeah.
That's the important part. You and I were discussing earlier. I made the comment that if I'd had a factory job, I think I would have lost it. I just can't. I don't have the patience. I don't know if I have ADHD, but I do not have the patience to do the same thing repeatedly over and over. And I'm aware there's many different types of factory jobs, and many aren't doing the exact same thing, multiple times over and over. But yeah, I could not have done that for a living.
Have I ever told on air the story of my factory experience?
I don't think so. When you told it tonight, I'd heard it before, but I'm pretty sure it was not on air.
The only job I ever just walked away from was at a factory, and I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not about burning bridges, even at a factory. I mean, even at the worst job you could possibly have, because you never know. You don't know what the situation is going to be and how you're going to be back to it. But man, that so the setup was we were building the and I'm not going to name the factory, but it was here local in one of the towns local, and we were making power steering hoses for Subarus, and my whole job, the entirety of my job, was to take this little piece of metal and stick it in a hole. It would clamp this little thing on it, and I throw it in a box. That was it. And right in front of me, about where this computer screen is, was a counter to let me know how many I'd done that day. And if you scroll up in front of that, huge clock right in front of me. Couldn't get away from it. It was there, minute by minute, hour by hour,
Second by second, probably.
second by second.
If it had a second hand.
If the factory was quiet, you could hear it tick.
Yep.
You know, it was like one of them old school clocks that they had on the wall. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and it's like my third or fourth day, and I'm a generally positive person. I try to be positive. I try to think of solutions and ways to make things better. So the lady that was beside me in the line was the line leader, and I'm using air quotes. She was the team leader for that particular line. There was like 8 of us on this machine. And I look at her, and it's a couple hours before lunch, and I'm like, do you think it'd be possible, like after breaks, that we just kind of rotate the line a little bit? That way everybody's getting a little fresh after every break or whatever. And this woman, I wouldn't know her today if she came up and slapped me in the face. I promise you. This woman looked at me like I had 3 heads. And in the most arrogant, judgmental, grotesque way, she says to me, you're not qualified to do my job. Now, Jerry, I'm a calm dude. But listen, her job was this, and I kid you not. She took the little thing I threw in a box and she hung it on a line.
Or it went to the next guy.
And it would roll down the little line to the next guy who would put a hose on it and a clamp.
Yeah.
That was her job.
That was the job you weren't qualified for.
Yeah. I wasn't qualified to take a thing out of a box and hang it on a line, apparently. And it didn't require any heavy equipment. She didn't even have to wear safety goggles to do her job. I had to have safety goggles on because whatever.
Yep.
So I stewed about it. And here's the number, Jerry. I will never forget this number. I should use it for passwords, but I do not. It's 4421. 4,421 is how many of those little things I had done before lunch, because that's where the counter was when I went to lunch. I sit there. I had my lunch, and I stewed. I figured I'm going to have my lunch. I'm going to calm down. As the clock got closer to go back to work, I was like, I can't do it. Can't do it. I packed my little bag up, went out to I had a green Ford Aerostar at the time. That's how long ago this was. I got my little Aerostar and I hightailed it home. I was done. Quit. Finished.
Yep.
Couldn't take it anymore. Simply couldn't take it anymore.
Can't say I would have been any different. I just don't think I
I
could
didn't
have
know
done
about that
factory
up.
work.
Yeah, no, that was my last experience. I was like, this is not. It wasn't long after that I came to Nicholasville to work at Big Lots.
Yep.
So that's how long ago it was. Gosh.
Long time.
Real long time. Oh, man. Amen, Double. Love people, love to succeed. Just like to I'm an interaction person. I'm a talker. I'm a relationship builder. I don't like that isolation and When I drove a truck, that really pushed me to the very brink. I didn't know when I stopped driving the truck, I didn't know if I'd be able to go back to working with people because you become so isolated. You start talking to yourself. You start getting into your own brain a little bit, and it's hard to come back out of that world. Just saying.
Was it really hard for you to come back?
Yeah, it really was. If I hadn't had, because I stopped driving because I was injured and I was off work for a long time. If I hadn't had that break in between, it would have been a much more difficult process.
You would have been fine.
You think so?
You are an extremely extroverted person. I've known you since you were 16 years old. I've never seen you
Damn, you knew me
come
when I was
close.
sexy.
Yeah. Well, that was back before you had glasses, so I'm sure you thought you couldn't see worth crap. So yes, I guess I did. But yeah, you've never had a problem in that respect, and I don't foresee you could have worked driving a truck for 10 years and you weren't with them for near 10 years, but I still think you would have found it very easy to go back to being the extroverted Steve you've always been.
So you ready to get into some of these topics?
Well, I already have.
Oh yeah, you have.
The mastodon tooth.
So
Beat that.
let's get into what I'd like to talk about. My first topic is coming from a weird perspective, probably a perspective you're not going to follow.
But something we probably all heard about.
Yeah, definitely want to talk about the unfortunate submarine issue out at the Titanic. Now, the facts are, we'll just cover the facts real quick because you can go anywhere and see what the facts are. Basically, it's a submarine about the size of a large propane tank. It's not very big. It's big enough for a five-person team, a pilot, and 4 crew. It has onboard 96 hours worth of oxygen. It does not have a bathroom. They pass around a bottle. If you've got to go, that's what you get. This thing is steered by a video game controller. And you and I talked a little bit before as to how does something like this ever get okayed or licensed to be a business? $250,000 per passenger. $250,000 to go in the middle of the ocean, drop 13,000 feet, and explore the wreckage of the Titanic. A lot of problems with this. There's lots of news stories coming out that this had a history of going down and losing communication for a bit when it went down. In fact, they just kind of had happened so often that they just kind of chucked it up to one of the things, one of the quirks about it, that it would lose communication and pick up communication. This thing has no GPS on it. So basically, they're on a ship above the Titanic, and the goal is to drive, just to fall straight down onto the Titanic. And the last time it was out, they spent 4 hours looking for the Titanic, and they were only 500 yards away. Because it's dark, we're at the levels that the Titanic is resting. So anyway, on this particular cruise, I won't say cruise, but on this particular voyage, there's 5 people. Obviously, if you're paying $250,000, you're quite well off if you can afford that to go to the depths. But also on board is the owner of the company who owns the submarine. And while there is still hope for these people, they are set to run out of oxygen sometime early tomorrow morning. At which case it will become a recovery, not a rescue. And that would be really, really terrible. I can't imagine being one of the 5 people on board this thing with no food. You don't carry food because you're only supposed to be down there a few hours. And just know that your oxygen is going to be out very soon. Unless there was a catastrophic, and they don't know yet. They don't know if it was an implosion, if something busted. Obviously, they don't have any way of contacting the submarine because the communications aren't working. But that's kind of where we're at right now. But here's the thing that I'm concerned with, and it has nothing to do with any of that. And maybe maybe I'm the wrong one here. But on social media, everywhere, there are hundreds upon hundreds of memes making fun of the people that are on this submarine. Saying, yeah, I'll give you a quote on one. One says that, yeah, I'm white, but I'm not $250,000 rich to go to the bottom of the sea and look at a ship in a propane tank white. Some of them are marked safe from being on a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. Some of them, I mean, they just don't stop. And I just want to know why we think that it's okay because to make fun of these people. Is it because that they are rich and we're jealous that they're rich and they're trying to live their best life? Is it because I just can't wrap my head around why, while in the middle of this human tragedy, and that's what it is.
Sure, a disaster. Absolutely.
Why it is okay. There's several of them that are showing when they wake up tomorrow what they're going to see, and it shows a picture of the inside of the Titanic with all the people in it. And I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with you people?
Yep, I agree.
You take the money factor away from these folks that are on this sub, the sheer terror, and if they are still alive, everything that's going through their minds, because now they have a date stamp, they have a time stamp on their life.
Yep.
These are people's fathers, dads, brothers, sisters. There's families that are really affected by this. It doesn't matter how much money they have.
Absolutely.
And that's really the thing that is bothering me today about this. You know, there, for every story you see about what a tragedy it is, and all of the, I mean, Herculean rescue efforts that are happening right now.
Numerous countries.
There's 4 countries with the best Navy stuff that they possibly can get there in time right now looking for this. We have Navy vessels that their whole job is to find, what are those things? Mines
Right.
that have the best sonar in our United States Navy, trying to find these people before their time is up. Not only do we have to find them, we have to figure a way to get this submarine up. It's 27,000 pounds. So if it is a mechanical failure and it can't help, how do you lift something? And you have
It's
to
2.5 miles deep.
That's 2.5 miles deep and has to come up at a particular rate of speed, because if it comes up too fast, you kill the people inside it. I mean, there's just so many factors in this. Absolutely, Double. I just do not understand where the compassion is for the people that are on board. Now some of the people that I've seen on here are making fun of them because they think that the Titanic is some sort of shrine, or it's a somber reminder of human tragedy. I get that. It is. And that's part of what drove them to want to be a part of it.
Even more reason you keep it as a somber.
Right.
You don't start joking about additional people who may lose their lives now versus the ones back in 1911 or whatever it was.
It just blows me away. And if you're one of those people spreading those, I'm sorry. I'm not on board with you, Slick. I don't understand that kind of humor. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't think if this was 5 regular dudes on the bottom of the ocean that we'd have the same response. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's 5 rich dudes on the bottom of the ocean, to be honest. And that breaks my heart a little bit.
Yep. People are people.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're in a submarine going to look at that the Titanic. I don't care if you're on Blue Origin, one of the first trips to space that had paid visitors. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's human lives we're talking about. And as you put far more eloquently than I could, this is people's families, people's fathers
Yeah.
and brothers that we're talking about.
You know, these are CEOs of companies that are going to have to, I mean, and you don't even want to put it into that perspective because these are people.
Yep.
You know, and I can't, I've tried all day to put myself into a mental state where, you know, we were just talking about working in a factory and you have to stand in one spot. These people can't even stand. They can barely sit upright.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. I saw a picture of this vessel. I forget the name of it.
The Ocean Gate.
Yeah, I think it's
something like
Ocean
that.
Gate. It was a picture of it taken, months ago, years or so ago, whatever. But I looked at it, and it was a picture of it, and it had one person sitting there. And I was thinking, there's 5 people in this little tiny space for several hours,
Yeah.
which is the original intent. I think if I remember right, they submerged at like 8 a.m. and they were supposed to be back up that afternoon, 3,
Yeah.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
And yeah, unbelievable.
I don't get
My
it.
thoughts and prayers are with them. I certainly hope they find them. I mean, at this point, it's going to take a lot. We're talking about how many hours of oxygen. First of all, for them to still be alive, the submarine has to have not lost power.
Right.
If it's lost power, there's no hope. Even if it has not lost power, it still has to be found in the next few hours, or
And
there's
it
going to
has
be
to
no
be
oxygen
intact.
left.
It has
be
to
intact.
It
Yes.
can't have ruptured anywhere.
Yep.
There's so many different. I mean, worst case scenario, if it loses in hull integrity, basically it crinkles up like a soda can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that actually might be the best thing that could have happened to the people.
Better
inside
than
it.
running out of oxygen.
Yeah, I
That'd be
can't
a hell
imagine
of a way
that.
to go.
Hell yeah, you got that right.
Yep.
I just
And it would be very long and drawn out, which is what you're alluding to.
yeah,
The other way,
miserable.
at least, would be really quick.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers, and hope that it works out. I hope that they're found quickly and
with enough time to get them up before.
Yeah.
You know, I think if they find them, and I don't even think there's a way, because to seal this, it's not like one of our big nuclear subs that have hatches and stuff. To seal this, they literally bolt it together
17
before they
bolts.
drop
I
it
heard
in.
that
Yeah.
one has to release on the outside. They can't. If it miraculously floated to the surface,
They were still just sitting there. They can't get
they're
out of it.
still sealed.
Yeah. So, and they were talking about one of the guys who was supposed to be on this one and wasn't. He backed out at the last minute, was because he didn't like the fact that on the first page of the waiver it mentioned that you could die 3 times on the first page. This isn't like, you know, a pleasure boat. I mean, there's very real possibilities going that deep on any case. I mean, there's a reason we didn't find the Titanic for, you know, almost 100 years.
Yes. Long time.
So, anywho, that was my topic. I wanted to get it out of the way because it is a tragedy. It is heartbreaking. But for us to for humans to be making fun of the suffering of other humans is really beneath us, I think, and we need to be better. Ha! I'm off my soapbox now, Jerry.
Absolutely agree.
How about a word from Ed Locke to cheer us up? Sound good?
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
Well, that was quick. Good job, Ed.
Very good job.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Also, you can call Ed if you need help and guidance to get your credit right to be able to buy a home. Don't forget that he can do soft pulls now. That's a cool thing. That was done since he made his ads up that don't have any effect on your credit whatsoever. And if you're not ready, he can put you on the path to tell you what to pay and when to pay to how to get ready. So give him a call if you want to reach out. Kentucky, Florida, call USA Mortgage somewhere, anywhere else in the country. They'll take good care of you. So
I didn't know he did that. I didn't know anyone in that profession got into it, but that's a very good thing. And it
Well-
would certainly help him as well as the client.
one of the things that the reason I work with Ed so much is because we both share a passion for first time home buyers. We want that process, and it's very simple. I mean, we're not in it. I mean, a good first time home buyer client that you've been patient with, that you've helped, that you've worked with to get into that home, when their time to upgrade, they're going to remember that
Sure.
for him and me. So
And they're going to be telling in-laws, outlaws, and everyone in between
absolutely
about the great guy that helped them get there.
Absolutely. So we share that passion for first time home buyers, and that's one of the reasons I really like working with Ed. So
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
That he is. So my turn.
yes,
We get through
sir.
with that one.
Yes, sir.
Well, last week we talked about Trump being indicted. So this week we'll continue on the same course and we'll talk about Hunter Biden. He hasn't been indicted yet, apparently, but it was announced Monday, I think, that he's going to plead guilty to tax misdemeanor charges. The Justice Department announced Monday or yesterday, one of the two. And he also struck a deal with federal prosecutors to resolve a felony gun charge, which just blows me away. This guy in the years 2017 and 2018 did not file taxes. Since then, has paid, but in both years he owed over $1 million in taxes. The fact that he didn't file and didn't do anything until the government come after him repeatedly is a misdemeanor. But the fact that he lied on an application to buy a gun, and here's the lie that he committed. By the way, earlier you were talking about that Kodak
Yeah,
Brown
put up Black.
is saying that, or Black, I'm sorry, I called him Brown. His name is Black.
Yeah, Kodak Black.
That he had said that it was that Hunter Biden had committed the same offense that he did. Hunter Biden lied on his application to purchase a gun. Apparently, it asked on there, "Are you addicted to drugs?" And he said no.
Which he obviously
Which who
was.
who in the world is going to on this federal form?
Right.
Yep, I'm addicted.
I'm
He
addicted.
put no. Years later, he said that he was addicted during that time period. That's his charge.
Oh wow.
Mr. Kodak did something a little bit different. He was afraid that he couldn't pass the background check, so he used a friend's social security number.
Oh yeah, that is a little different.
That's a little different. That's not the same charge.
That's a whole lot of different. That's
a whole bunch of different. An article that I read didn't give an exact number, but it said that basically almost no one is ever charged with what Hunter Biden was charged with. But yet that's the felony, and is double 2017, 2018 when he decided to not file taxes. I'm sorry, I said he owed at least $1 million. He owed at least $100,000 in federal taxes in both years. His income was over $1 million. But anyway, he has paid the taxes since, but he was charged for the fact that he did not file the taxes. I guess, for you go so long overdue and it becomes a criminal offense. And anyway, they have been investigating him for years. This started back in 2017 or 2018. A United States attorney, Weiss, that was appointed by Trump, began the investigation. When Joe Biden won the presidency, I'm sure you're aware that U.S. attorneys are required to present their resignation letter at the change of any administration. The president, if he so desires, can keep any of them, but traditionally, he's got a lot of favors. To get to be president, you've had to make a lot of promises. You've had to tell a lot of people you'd take care of them. Traditionally, The majority of those are let go if it's from a different administration, meaning change from Republican to Democrat or vice versa. At at the time, Biden and his Attorney General Merrick Garland said that they were not going to let him go, that they didn't want anything to interfere with this investigation. Which last week we were talking about Trump, and right or wrong, you said it to you had the appearance of smelling bad.
Right.
Guys, if you want to know how you don't do that, if you want to know how you have at least the appearance, and I'm not saying that they did everything correctly, who knows? But if you want to know how you have the appearance of doing things correctly, you have the opportunity to fire the guy who's investigating your son. And you have a press conference and say, not only are we not going to fire him, he's to be given everything he needs to do his investigation. We will not interfere in any way. So, with that being said, it appears that the investigation into Hunter Biden has been completed. I'm sure most Republicans will be very, very upset. They wanted this guy to go to prison. All we've heard for years and years is about how crooked that Hunter Biden was. And for him to be let go with such 2 misdemeanors, 1 felony gun charge. And from what I read, the deal is if that he completes 2 years probation, I think that that's going to be dropped. It won't even be on his record. So 4 or 5 years of investigation come down to this. What do you think?
Man, I'm not privy to all the information that they have. I'm not privy to all
None of
of the
us are.
stuff that they are. I just have this to say. It
What's
must be really good to have a dad as the president of the United States. I'm just saying.
Well,
And
he could have done a lot more. He could have pardoned him.
yeah, you sure
He could have let go the attorney who was leading the investigation. He could have stopped or not Biden, but Merrick Garland certainly had the power to stop the investigation.
Sure.
He didn't do any of those things. So at least if what they say is true, he literally, neither Merrick Garland nor Joe Biden interfered with this investigation. Keep in mind that David Weiss, the United States attorney appointed by Trump, has said numerous times that he was given everything that he asked for, and that in no way did anyone interfere with his investigation. So, looking at it from that way, I don't know that his dad helped him.
Yeah. Speaking of his dad,
Your favorite guy?
I know that you have the Joe Biden fan club presidency hanging at your house.
Is that right?
I know that you rent the space for the meetings of the national organization of the Joe Biden fan club.
Okay.
Because in fact, I even think Joe Biden has been to a couple of your meetings.
Is that right?
I do. Because Joe Biden had a statement yesterday that is something I heard come right out of your mouth.
Which is?
He quoted you, Jim.
Well, you know the guy's a smart guy if he's quoting me.
Okay.
That seals the deal there.
So, and I'm going to read his quote.
Please do.
He says, and I quote,
Okay.
I love my right-wing friends who talk about the tree of liberty is water of the blood of patriots.
Okay.
Biden said in January. If you need to work about taking, I'm reading this verbatim, so it's very hard. We know how our president is such a linguist. If you need to work about taking on the federal government, you need some F-15s. You don't need an AR-15. I've heard you sit in that chair and tell me, what do you want, an F-15 in your driveway? Absolutely.
My point was you shouldn't have them. You shouldn't have machine guns. You shouldn't have flamethrowers. You shouldn't have F-22s. You shouldn't have nuclear submarines. And you, Mr. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, say that whoever affords it should be able to buy it. So no, Joe Biden's saying the exact opposite of what I'm saying.
No, he's saying
He's saying you could go get your F-15s. I'm saying no, you
that's
can't do
not
that.
what he's saying.
Oh,
He's
what did he
saying
say?
that in order to take, because I often bring up the fact that the Second Amendment was not for hunting rights,
Right.
it was to stem tyranny. And
Right.
he's saying the exact same thing that you say. Well, a few rifles from a few dudes aren't going to do anything to our federal government anyway.
You say
need
that
some
as well.
tanks. No, well,
You have said that many times.
I'm just saying that he's been to a couple of your meetings. We know this to be fact, and it's proofs in the pudding right there.
Oh, jeez.
It's all your
We
fault,
started
sir.
this whole topic is Hunter Biden, and I ask you your feelings, and that's your response.
No, I don't even want to get into Hunter Biden. And here's why I don't want to get into Hunter Biden.
Why is that?
Because I think that there is bigger stuff going to happen with the Bidens. And I don't know that it's going to happen while he's president.
Referring to what?
Referring to corruption. I think that this is and I don't have all the facts in front of me, so I didn't want to really get into it.
Do you have any of the facts in front of you?
I have enough gut feeling to tell me that there is going to be more that comes out involving not only Joe and Hunter, but most of Biden's family, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, we've been hearing this for years.
Oh, I know.
The Republicans have had control and been investigating for half a year. And is there got to be a few facts found so far? So, which facts can you tell us that have been found so far?
Well, we have. Again, I don't want to get into this because I don't have all the facts.
You already got into it. You already brought it up.
I did.
You already brought it
specifically to say that only to say.
Did you have zero facts to support what you're saying? Well, then give us a few of the facts.
Listen, sometimes I don't need facts. Sometimes I can feel. Have you never read a story? Jerry's dying right here. Have you never read a story and your gut tell you something about it?
Sometimes I hear a story and my gut tells me a lot. I just heard you and realized that you and Donald Trump have a lot in common.
No,
I don't need facts.
Gosh.
I don't need facts. He sent his advisor, Kellyanne Conway, to Sunday's Meet the Press a few years ago. And do you remember what she said when they called her out for saying things that weren't true? Well, you have your facts. We have our alternate facts. So I guess this is part of the
I'm not claiming that. I specifically said to begin this conversation that I did not have them in front of me. I didn't want to go any deeper into all of them. And I have a very strong gut feeling that at some point in the future, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. I'm hoping
about
that I'm
Hunter
wrong.
Biden, very possibly.
I'm hoping I'm wrong.
But Joe Biden, yeah, you're wrong.
I don't.
Hunter Biden is
the only thing is
he really is.
Let's talk about Joe for a second because and not about corruption.
Okay, let's talk about it.
At what point do we really have to start looking at like elder abuse charges for his wife?
For his wife?
Yeah. She's allowing him to continue.
Do you think she can stop him?
I think that she's his spouse and his closest living relative.
Which does not mean you have the right to interfere with the sitting president of the United States of America.
Take the
he's a leader of the free world.
Say he worked at Kroger. Would you think he's
a
qualified
leader of
for
the
that?
free? I don't think he's probably capable of picking up soda cans off the side of the interstate.
Thank you.
Now, if you're talking about holding someone legally liable, I don't think that there is any precedence to say that his wife, and if the roles were reversed, it would be the exact same thing. I don't think that any spouse has the ability, unless you can go to a court of law and prove that they are mentally incapacitated. And if that's the case, then excuse me, but why aren't the Republicans taking him to court to do that?
No,
you don't need his spouse to do it.
I don't disagree with you, to be honest.
Don't expect the president's wife to do this. Why, if it's possible, if what you're saying is possible, then the leaders of the Republican Party in Washington, D.C. need to take him to court and prove him mentally unfit. Which is not going to happen. We both know that.
Rough. Woo.
Mochi's rough?
Yeah.
What's Mochi saying?
She says they need to be removed from office and sent to live on a remote island with only the clothes on their backs. That's rough.
All righty then.
I'm of the firm belief that if you're in Washington, chances are you're pretty corrupted. Did you hear the video or the audio of the conversation from one of the uppers in BlackRock talking about how easy it is to buy off senators?
No.
We should Google it and
Oh, it's not
conversate
going
on
to
it.
surprise me.
But he basically, in a nutshell, was talking to this person who was wired. Obviously, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it was a female, probably conducting an interview under circumstances, air quotes, right? But he's like, yeah, we send them 500K and we own them. That's pretty much how easy it is to buy off a senator. And, they were doing it from a perspective of how corrupt it is. I just want to say how much that pisses me off.
But does it surprise you?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
And I'll be flat honest. If they do a thorough investigation, it's not going to be one party or the other. It's probably going to be pretty equal.
No,
They're just both
absolutely.
going to get slammed.
And they should.
And that, I'm sure not only are they doing it, they've been doing it for forever.
Since the beginning of
Forever.
the
Yeah.
republic.
Lobbyists. Whenever lobbyists become a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Those people don't even need the money. They just do it because they get greedy and power will.
Well,
Anyway.
maybe, but you got to remember that politics doesn't pay very well, at least at face value, right? What's the president's salary? $430,000 a year or something?
$435,000, something like that.
Do you know how many in the business world, if you were to take the top 100 companies on the Fortune 500, on average of those top 100, how many employees do you think the average company has that has a salary above that?
Oh, everyone in home office.
A ton of them.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
A flat ton of they've got VPs that no one even knows what the hell they're in charge of. That
Right.
makes way more than that.
Yeah.
So
Bud Light knows all about that, don't they?
Don't they, though?
They found out real quick that they don't always know what they know. Bud Light, by the way, is still suffering. Their sales are still down. And every grocery store and place I go that has Bud Light, the Bud Light shelf is always full. Still. And it's been how many weeks at this point?
the thing I would like to know is for Anheuser-Busch, what has
Right.
it done to their
And-
sales? Because they own so many.
Anheuser-Busch
different brands.
owns over 100 beer companies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you're not hurting Anheuser-Busch.
The majority of the people are probably, I would say the majority, way more than 50% of the people who decided to boycott Budweiser.
Probably picked up another
Yes.
Anheuser-Busch product.
Yes. So that hurt Anheuser-Busch none.
Right.
So I would be interested to know that.
Anyway,
Which is sad because you hope that when you begin to have those homegrown protests, you hope they can accomplish something.
right.
And this time it's against a company that's so big. We're saying there's like 3 beer companies.
Mhm. Yinglings, the Miller Company, and basically Anheuser-Busch.
Sad.
Yeah.
Absolutely sad.
Now there's 100 million
Microbreweries.
microbreweries,
Yes.
but Anheuser-Busch is buying them up by the handful.
Once they get to a
Yeah.
certain level.
Yeah.
So what do you got for us next?
Oh, that was mine.
My bad.
I
I've got
was
another good one for you.
okay. Good one. We need a good one.
Well, it goes right along with the corrupt politician thing. I'm sure you probably heard Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has been indicted.
No, I didn't hear that at all.
He's been indicted
Okay.
by the Texas House of Representatives, senators, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 72% Republican. So this is not a bunch of liberals that indicted Ken Paxton. It's a bunch of, and there's a ton of evidence, that flat ton. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Paxton's wife, Angela Paxton, is a member of the Texas Senate.
Really?
Would you care to guess what she announced on Monday that she will not be doing?
Running for re-election.
She will not be recusing herself from her husband's trial. She will be doing, quote unquote, her duty, and she will be a part of the impeachment and she will vote on her husband's impeachment. If that's not a friggin' conflict of interest, please tell me what is. I don't care which side of this. If you like Ken Paxton and think that he's innocent, I don't care. But your wife should not be one of the people that's voting to see whether or not you're innocent or guilty.
That's insane.
It is.
I mean, how is it even legal? I mean, I'm sure there's a loophole
Well,
there's
the
a
loophole is
thing.
that they never assumed that husband and wife would be, back when most of these laws were resurrected, women were property. They weren't running for and serving as state senators. So at the time when the laws were designed, that wasn't even an afterthought. So will it be challenged in court? Probably. It's just ridiculous at face value.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is.
I don't get it. I do not get it.
What do you have left for us? I've got one more I need to cover. I've been wanting to cover this other one for several weeks.
Well, why don't you go first? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Mine's another silly little thing. You already know what it is. I've told you.
Oh, really?
With the school, I haven't covered this yet, have I? The school on Zillow.
Yeah.
I told you. Did I do it on here, on air?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, that's
Then
okay.
I've got nothing left.
Oh.
What do you have?
Oh, Jerry is all out. You got to go plan for the next Joe Biden fan club meeting.
No, I do have one more. If you need
So,
me to. Yes.
this has nothing to do with my topic. My
Okay.
topic's completely different. I got two, maybe three really quick ones, so we'll just kind of blaze through them. We watched the video a little while ago and the audio about Los Angeles or Las Vegas and the aliens and the everything that's going on out there. I just wanted to bring it up because I dig that stuff. Couple of police body cams, or at least one body cam and one other. Was that a cruiser cam that they took? They got
Maybe.
pictures of it, of a definite thing falling from the sky. Whether it crashed or landed, we don't know. And then almost immediately after the body cam footage, the time frame of that was a Las Vegas resident called and said, "Hey, there's a thing in my backyard, and there's two beings back there. They're at least 8 to 10 feet tall." And he's called 911. He's got really big eyes and a big mouth. Can you send somebody over? And you heard it in the 911. She's like, "Oh, so you have subjects in your backyard?" And he's like, "Yes, they're looking at me. Please send somebody." And the police responded pretty quickly. And then Jerry and I disagree about the next part, which is, they show the interview of the cops talking to the people, and then they go to the backyard. All of that's been blacked out.
And they tell you why.
And Jerry says that and the news people say they do that out of privacy for the homeowner.
Which simply means the homeowner didn't give consent for that to be shown.
Yeah, but
Steve thinks.
Oh yeah, you
Go
can't
ahead.
you can't block out the actual spot and then pretend that
no
it's
one ever
for
said it was the
consent.
actual spot. But tell them what you think the reason for the blackout is.
Because if there was something there, the government doesn't want it seen.
The government.
Absolutely.
Of which the local police department gladly gives you all the information they've got. They even have the audio that they give of one of their officers talking to the people, and he's like, "Look, we come over here really quick because on one of my buddy's cameras, he saw some object coming through space, and it looked like it crashed."
Yeah.
So they tell you that, but suddenly they're going to try to cover it up by not allowing you into the backyard.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Okay.
I mean, even at Roswell, the first initial paperwork went out that we found a UFO from the U.S. Army. The next day, that was recanted and said it was a weather balloon. So, just saying.
Without a doubt, it was certainly a, what do
Something.
they call it now? A UAP,
UAP.
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Exactly. So the next thing, I just want to bullet through these real fast. Did you see the story yesterday about the bright green dot that they found on Jupiter?
Yeah.
It's NASA's scientists says, don't get alarmed. It's not UFOs. It's lightning, and which is really cool. And it's green because of the particular mass of clouds that it was in at the time. Jupiter's a big, gas planet. There's a very small hard core surrounded by miles and miles and miles and miles, millions of miles of gas. But the cool thing about the storm is the picture that they took had to happen at a very particular point in the lightning, which is really cool. First of all, the lightning on Jupiter is more than 10 times more powerful than any lightning ever seen on Earth because of all the instability on the planet, because of the gas. On Saturn, for example, it's also a gas giant. Um, Lightning strikes as many as 10 times per second around the planet. So just the fact that they caught a cool picture, when you first see the picture, like, ooh, that looks like a big light. It is just lightning from above.
Did you read when this picture was taken?
Oh, years and years and years ago.
Literally.
Yeah.
December 30th, 2020 was when this picture was taken.
Yeah.
They're just now telling us about it.
Yeah, which is
It's a cover up.
I
It
wonder
took them 2 years.
I
to
wonder
come
if
up
they
with the
just
story.
yeah, exactly. Maybe they just took them 2 years to figure out.
Yep.
Hey, that's what it is. See,
Little green Martian man has done invaded Jupiter. You heard it here first. United States government is doing a cover up.
I don't think that that's the case, and they wouldn't have to invade Jupiter. There's nothing there to invade. However, it would
So
be
you think
it
that's
would
what
be
the
a
government told
great
you?
place to stage an invasion. And I'll just give you a preview of one of the topics I want to cover next week because it's really interesting.
You're
I
ahead of
find
me.
it, huh?
You're way ahead of me.
I see, I am. According to thehill.com, good paper, reputable, and it's an opinion piece by Mark Millman. I found it, and he wrote it 12 hours. It was published 12 hours ago. And the question he raises, are we really suffering moral decline in this country? And he goes into a lot of stats and a lot of numbers and a lot of opinions, and how those opinions break on Republican or Democrat lines is really neat. It is a lot of numbers, so I'm going to try to condense it down and have it and make it a little easier for the on airwaves. But it's a cool piece. The answer is not what you really think that the answer would be, but I'm excited to cover that next week. I'd like to give you all just a little bit of a teaser.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice indeed. So, anywho, what else you got for us, Mr. Jerry?
No, I think I've covered mine.
Really? So, we are almost at the point of making a decision, I think, about our new podcast destination.
Host. Yep.
And we'll probably be able to make an announcement about that, next week, maybe?
Hopefully.
So we'll get to doing that. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Massachusetts. Thank you, New Jersey. Thank you, Iowa, for all of your all support. Kentucky, obviously. Our numbers this month have been really good. We just want to appreciate that. So we hope to continue that growth. And if you want to help us, if you want to be a guest, you have a good topic, how would you reach out to us, Jerry?
They can email us at newsworthywithstephenjerry@gmail.com. They can send us a text on the text line at area code 540-709-1318.
Absolutely. And we mean that. If you have a great topic and you want to be a guest and you want to get interviewed on air, by all means, give us a call, shoot us a text. Let us know you're out there, because the one thing about our new site is we're going to be able to do that, and it's going to sound so much better, and we're hopefully, have a really good way of doing that.
And also allow call-in guests.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
The main reason we're switching.
Yeah. So anyway, let's hope for a good week. Let's hope that they find these 5 dudes at the bottom of the ocean alive, well, and get them up to safety. We all like a good story like that.
Yep.
I guess the last big one about that would have been the miners down in South America. They got
somewhere, yeah. They were down there a long time.
Yeah.
Like a month or something.
Yeah, but they had food, they had water. They weren't at the bottom of the ocean in a tin can.
Big difference.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.